Good evening, everyone. And you are watching now a live edition of Georgia-Alabama Sports Live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. I'm Thrift Barringer alongside my partner in crime, Richard Holdridge. Richard, how are you?
Oh, I'm so great to be here, Thrift. We are here live, and we're ready to talk high school football.
So we do have some guests here that probably are looking at us like, who the heck are these two guys and what are they talking about? Well, we're Georgia-Alabama Sports Live. We're a live streaming company, and we live stream different high school, college, and professional sporting events around the area. And we've been doing over 25 games this football season. We still got another 25 to go, including playoffs, so we're excited about that. And we do a thing called High School Game Day. So I know a lot of you have probably heard of College Game Day. Well, we do High School Game Day for high schools around the area. And last week, we were live from Russell County. And it was their alumni. It was their homecoming game. Had a lot of alumni. There were over 40, 50 tents right behind us at High School Game Day that had 300, 400, close to 1,000 people there, alumni coming back to the school. It was an incredible atmosphere, an incredible experience to be there for that, Richard.
It truly was. The guests were the head football coach of Russell County, head coach Dylan Griggs, the athletic director, Coach Larry Knox, and our celebrity guest picker, because on High School Game Day we do have celebrity guest pickers, was the former Russell County alum, current Carver head baseball coach Michael Long Jr.
Yep.
And it was great because he stuck around, and it was a last-minute thing,
yeah.
And he called the game with me, the Russell County Valley game, and he did an amazing job, and he is a talented broadcaster, also a great baseball coach.
Well, we appreciate Michael Long for doing that. Russell County played Valley. Russell County, they're winless. Valley was 3-1. We thought this was going to be a big opportunity for Russell County to get on the map. Dylan Griggs got a young team. They're improving. But Valley was just too much on homecoming night. Ended up winning 40-14. It was close in the first half. You were on the call. What were some of the key takeaways from the game, Richard?
It was close in the first half. Thrift Valley took a 14-7 lead into halftime, but then it was just all Cam Dooley. He accounted for 5 touchdown passes, 2 touchdown passes, 3 touchdown runs, and Valley goes to 4-1. Russell County goes to 0-5, but it was just electric atmosphere, homecoming, but Valley proved that they could go down and beat a 6A team.
Yeah, they can. So one of us was at Russell County Valley. I was at Sandy Creek versus Harris County. Sandy Creek was the number 4 team in 3A, taking on the most improved team around the Tri-City area, Harris County. Last year they went 2-8. They lost to that Russell County team. This year, ever since losing to Troup County the first game of the season, they've won 5 straight, including upsetting Sandy Creek last week, 28-19. They dominated throughout the game. Levi Watson was efficient as the quarterback. Tommy Watson's team, they like playing defense, hard-nosed defense, and they like running the football. Matei Yeoman was incredible being able to run the football, and I like seeing this Harris County team. They're improving every single week, and they got a big one upcoming against Northside, their rival. That's probably going to be for 5A region championship. Northside won it last year going 9-1. This year, Harris County, they're in the lead at 5-1, Northside 4-2, but I was so impressed to see how Harris County played against that Sandy Creek team. I thought it could happen, but then I was on the fence a little bit. If they were going to upset them, it was going to be a close loss. No, they dominated them from start to finish. A 3A powerhouse. Sandy Creek won the state championship last year. Harris County taking care of business, and they go to 5-1.
Harris County really put the state of Georgia on notice because they entered the top 25 rankings according to MaxPreps for 5A schools. They're ranked 23rd, 5-1 after a 2-8 season last season. And Harris County, this team is for real. I watched the call with you and Rick Beach. You guys did a great job. What a game. I mean, we all picked that Harris County was going to win in our high school game day. But we were trying to see maybe can they go toe-to-toe with the Sandy Creek team, which is a powerhouse, the defending state champions for 3A. But Harris County really took them out, and they dominated, and now the whole state of Georgia has got them. They're noticing them right now.
Yeah, well, they came out with their top 25, and Harris County is in the top 25, so great job by them. We are live at Happy Hour Bar and Grill here in Phoenix City off Somerville Road. Thank you to Matt Call, the general manager, Dave, the owner, for allowing us this opportunity to be here. So if you got nothing else going on, come out, hang out with us, listen to us as we talk sports. We got a great, I'm talking about Hall of Fame guest lineup coming up. And I'm going to start naming some of them. We got Coach Nelson of Glenwood coming up here in about 2 minutes, along with his 2 star players, Lamont Burton II and Dallas Crow. Then we got a Hall of Famer himself, Chattahoochee Valley Hall of Famer, former NFL player, former Georgia Bulldog national champion DJ Jones will come on to talk all things sports around here. And then I had to get the local celebrities, the guys you see doing the highlights on WRBL and WTVM, Jonathan Hoppy, Jack Patterson, and Rex Castillo. And then we're going to end it with Rick Beach of Kutsu Sports to talk about Harris County and the Harris County Northside game. So we got a fun-filled show today. And Happy Hour Bar and Grill's got $3 tacos. So if you enjoy tacos, LeBron James tried to patent Taco Tuesday. Well, we got Taco Tuesday here at Happy Hour Bar and Grill, and they have food specials every day, karaoke every Thursday, and Damn Skippy is in concert this Friday at 8 p.m. So come and hang out, Happy Hour Bar and Grill. And if you mention GAS Live, you get 10% off your food purchases on Monday and Wednesday. So Monday and Wednesday you come here, say GAS Live, and get 10% off your ticket. All right, real quickly before we have on our next guest, we're going to be live at Calvary. Calvary Christian is taking on Creekside. That's going to be our high school game day. We're doing a doubleheader. We're going to be at 2 different places, including Harris County Northside. I'll call that game. You're going to call Calvary Creekside. So let's preview that one. Calvary, 3-3 on the season. Lost last week a heartbreaker to Heritage on the road. But this Calvary team with Coach Brunson laying a foundation, his first season at the helm of Calvary. I think that he's done a pretty good job here in this season, and they still have a lot to play for in the Gaps.
You got to remember, they're undefeated in the Gaps. They knocked off Cherokee Christian, the defending Gaps champion, week 1. Their losses were to Heritage, a GIAA school, Flint River Academy, also a GIAA school.
Right.
And then they also lost to a GHSA Division I school. So 3-3, they're starting region play, and it should be a lot of fun. And Coach Brunson has really got that team coaching them up, and Luke Zavak, Luke Scoggins. That's a great combination right there.
It is a great combination. High school game day will be there for their homecoming. But without further ado, let's bring on the stars of the show. We're going to bring on Dallas Crowe, senior quarterback of the Glenwood Gators. Come sit right here, Dallas. And senior linebacker, star of the defense, Lamont Burton II. And, of course, my good friend, Coach Ryan Nelson. This is the hottest team going on outside of Central in the area.
Whoa.
I'm not allowed to mention Central. I'm sorry. I'm not allowed to mention Central when we got the Glenwood boys on here. Make sure that's on. All right. So, Coach Nelson, last year you had a face-off against Bocelli and Brookstone. You went 0-2, but then you started getting back on the right track that led you all the way to the state championship. This year you played those two teams and you dominate them. How important was it to get off to a hot start, especially those caliber teams that won state championships in Georgia?
Correct. Yes, it really was. First, I want to tell y'all thank y'all for having us on and highlighting not only our program, but Central and all the Russell County Smiths from Alabama, but also all the schools and in Columbus, Georgia, and all y'all do for the high school athletes.
Thanks, Coach.
It's awesome. It's something that these kids are really blessed to have. I'll say 20 years ago when I played, we'd have had nothing like this, when there was no media and nothing like that. So, everything y'all doing for these kids is wonderful.
Thank you.
And I just, from Glenwood and from our program and everything, thank y'all so much for everything all y'all do. But, it was important for us to get off to a hot start. And, last year was just, it was tough. And first year, the dynamics of the school was a lot different, whereas, half our team, we didn't get to the summer, or we don't get to the summer because our baseball team's very good. And we got a lot of guys that, kind of played dual sports and things like that. So
right.
It was a little difficult last year, but it was a very good learning experience for us. And the first 5 games last year was nothing more for me just filling people out, filling coaches out, filling our team out. And we were 2-3. And, but I tell everybody, 3 of our losses, 2 of them were state champions. So, it was a bumpy road, but it was something that brought us together.
Right.
And, this time last year, we really got hot. And we played really good ball. We ended up losing the state championship game, but I was very proud of our program from, kind of making the jump. And we won some big games, and just to finish the way we did. And then very simple for us, we went back to work in January when we got back from Christmas. And I think these guys will tell you the same thing. We've been on a mission since January. And, just right now, as far as, where we're at and everything, it was very, very, very huge for us to get up the first game against Bocelli and play really well, and also being on live TV the second week against Brookstone to back that up and play well and
right.
be 2-0. And then, we had 2 tough road games. A lot of people around here don't realize we had to go to Fort Dale, which they've only lost 1 game, which is to us. And it was a tough night. It was a rainy night, and we struggled a little bit offensively. But our defense played extremely that night, extremely well, and we ended up winning 35-7, which is a big victory for us. And then we go to Bessemer, so we had to go to back-to-back 3-hour trips. And then, then we come home week 5 and play Lee Scott, and we played really well and got that win. So it was good to start out 5-0. We were banged up a lot, going into the bye week. So we've got some guys back healthy. We kind of had a lull last week. I say a lull early in the first quarter, homecoming, and
Right.
A lot of distractions with that, and then some injuries. So we ended up getting back going, and we ended up winning, I think, 48-18.
Yep.
So we're 6-0 in a good spot, and just happy with our kids, our players, our coaches. And but they'll tell you the same thing. I'm not satisfied. I never will be until the season's over with, because it's a grind, and we're trying to get back to the state championship. And the ultimate goal is when we get back, we want to hold that trophy up.
Yep.
Absolutely. Coach, offensively, do you feel that your team is hitting their stride?
Well, I never feel like that, Richard. I've been doing this a long time, and I'll be honest with you, man. I take every week, and I learned this as a young coach. I don't try to get too high, too low. A lot of I say a young coach. I learned it from my dad. Just to kind of stay even keel. You're going to have some weeks where you come out offensively and you play really well. You're going to have some weeks where you come out and you may stumble a little bit, but it's all about finding answers within the game and just figuring out how to win that night. That's what it's about. Sometimes you got to score 40 plus to win. Sometimes it may be a 10-7 ball game. But
Right.
whatever it takes to win that night is the most important thing. And these guys will tell you the same thing. It's not about offense, defense with us. It's a family thing. It's a culture thing. It's a team thing, because we don't play offense or defensive football, Glenwood. We play for Glenwood High School, and that's
Right.
what it is.
Well, Glenwood again is 6-0 on the season. Got a big one this upcoming week. Dallas, I'm going to start with you now. Do you and Coach Nelson feel like y'all are on the same page offensively? You're being in his system for the second year. I know I've asked you this question. I've heard you answer it, that it's like y'all are an extension of each other, and he'll come at you. But what is it like now, year 2, learning under Coach Nelson, and do you feel like he's maximizing your strengths as a quarterback? Okay, well, we're going to figure out this mic situation. We're going to get it, I promise.
We'll get it right.
All right, go ahead, Dallas.
Alrighty, but back to your question. There's always room to grow and improve with Coach Nelson and his offense, because it's not just built around me or another player. It's built for everyone. Sorry, excuse me. But obviously, with him, he's going to push me, and he's going to push everyone on the team. Offense, defense, special teams, the coaches, the staff, the fans. He'll even try to get them a little riled up. But I do believe that we are starting to we're continuously growing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to see where it takes us and achieve what we want to achieve.
Yeah, state championship definitely is the goal. And trust me, I've called 2 Glenwood games. I still got 3 more in the playoffs. I love when I get a fired up Coach Nelson. He starts beating his chest. Him and Coach McConnell jumping on the sidelines, high-fiving each other. All right, Lamont, what is it like? Speaking of Coach McConnell, he's been here for a long time. He's a Glenwood legend. He played here. He's coached here for many years. What's it like, him being the leader on the defense and you being the captain over there? Do y'all feel like y'all are on the same page? Do you like playing for Coach McConnell?
Yes, sir. I love playing for Coach McConnell. He's just a hard coach. He's gonna be hard on you week in and week out, and he's just gonna push the best to get out of everyone. Not only just me, but all the other 11 people on defense. So just playing for him is just great. It's honestly a blessing, because he's always going to teach us some things we didn't learn through defense and just a life lesson. So just everything he teaches me through the week is just a blessing for me and my teammates.
That's awesome.
So this question is for both of you. What are your plans after you leave Glenwood and go off to college and after college?
Yes, sir. So for me, I've been blessed to go to the Air Force Academy, so I'm going to be going there, play football.
Awesome.
And so
There you go.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man. That's
Congratulations.
fantastic.
Thank you. But I'm just keep my focus in there for football, and God willing, I'll be blessed to go to the league. But even if that doesn't happen, I still would go do the military stuff, background, all that things, and just keep stacking up, get my years in, and just retire.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. You got an Air Force Falcons fan right here now that you're going to go to
sir.
next year. What about you, Dallas?
Absolutely.
I plan on playing college football once I leave Glenwood.
Okay.
Currently, I'm not sure where that will be, but I'm having trust and faith in the Lord that He will put me where I need to be, and I'm looking forward to every single moment. I'm trying to cherish it right now.
Well, coaches that are watching right now, this guy's a mixture of Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield, without the off-the-field issues. So trust me, he is an elite quarterback, and thank y'all so much, gentlemen. All right, Coach, one of the last questions that I did want to ask you is your game coming up against Monroe. All right, Monroe's 2-5.
Right.
And when you're facing these teams, like last week against Valiant Cross, they're 0-5. When you're playing teams that are not that good, and you've already beat Pacelli, who's predicted to win a state championship in the GIAA. Lee Scott's predicted to play you in the state championship game. How do you keep your team up and energized for teams that they feel like they're going to blow out by 50 points?
Yeah, well, it's simple because it's the next game. I know that's coach speaking all that, but, you know, at the end of the day, our program doesn't change. Our process doesn't change. We do the same thing every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So we don't really get up if we're playing Lee Scott or Pacelli and prepare for them any different than we do if we're playing Monroe this weekend.
Right.
You know, Monroe is they're 2-5, but you know they'll tell you. I mean, their offensive line is as good as we've seen all year. They're dominant. They got 2 or 3 guys that will come off the ball.
They're big country boys,
yeah,
ain't they?
for sure, and for sure. So they present challenges from us from that standpoint. But we got to go on the road. It's a 3-hour trip, and so we got to handle that. This will be the 3rd one, so good thing ain't the first one. And so we've been on 2 of them. So, but you know, for us, it's simple because you know I told the kids today, you know, at Glenwood history, we've only won 3 region championships in school history.
Wow.
So we have a chance to do something special this year. Let's don't talk about the state championship right now because that's not our immediate goal right now. We have a chance to win this region championship if we can win this week and find a way to win next week, and then we clinch it. So with that being said, it's bigger than who we're playing. It's a standard for us. Our standard is always going to be the best. So our standard is come out and prepare every single week, and then we go play on Friday night and figure out how to go 1-0, and then we'll come back. We'll take Saturday off and get back in there Sunday and then figure out the next week. So, you know, the process doesn't change. You know, I really worry about us when we go on the road. I think every high school coach does because it's so different, so many distractions. Now, I will say this, it's not the same distractions as homecoming. One thing that Glenwood High School does is they have a really great homecoming week.
Yeah,
I
they
will
do.
say that. So, but as something I've had experience the last 2 years, and they'll tell you I've had to back up a little bit because, you know, obviously, I don't want to be Scrooge. I want the kids to have their fun, but I'm about business. I'm about these kids prepared and getting ready to play on Friday night. So, but we know we'll be back in the building tomorrow, and we'll have our Wednesday process, and hopefully Friday night we can play our best game at Monroe and you know be 5-0 in the region, 7-0, and then hopefully next week we play for a chance to win that 4th region championship.
Yep, 7-0 is what they're trying to go. Glenwood Gators have not won a state championship since the early 90s, but
92.
they've been
I'll tell you, 92.
over 30 years, and this is going to be the year that it finally comes, I think, for another state championship for Glenwood. They've been to multiple over the last 15 years, but just can't get over the hump. I think this is the year. Coach Nelson, thank you so much for
thank
coming
y'all.
up here and hanging out with us. Dallas, Lamont, y'all are great players. I look forward to seeing you at the next level, but I can't wait to call another Glenwood game in 2 weeks. Congratulations and good luck for the rest of your senior season. All right, that is Lamont Burton, Dallas Crow, and Coach Ryan Nelson. Thank y'all so much.
Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all so much.
All right. So we go from Coach Nelson and 2 legends on the field as a present, but past legend that played for the Carver Tigers, played for the Georgia Bulldogs in the early 80s, won a national championship with them, played for the Denver Broncos and the Green Bay Packers, and the creator of Sports Visions, which is one of the biggest media conglomerates, and I'm so glad to be a part of his team. It's none other than my mentor, my good friend, DJ Jones. DJ, how are you?
I'm great, man. I'm so proud of you. I tell you, man, this is awesome. It's like, you know, just watching one of my, as Coach Nelson would say, one of his kids going out playing college football. But to see you in this sports show is awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much. And me and DJ, we do a sports show on 92.1 Smooth R&B, Sports Visions radio show, 4 to 6 p.m. We were talking NIL yesterday with a guy named Ben Finley of the Finley firm, and it's called Legally Sports. So apparently in the GHSA, they just passed that the NIL is legal in the state of Georgia. I know it's quick. We really hadn't had a lot of time to process it, DJ, but give me your initial thoughts seeing this news when it came out.
Well, I'm kind of torn because obviously, you know, NIL, you know, I'm happy that the young men are able to earn some money based on their name, image, and likeness. Everybody's hearing NIL, name, image, and likeness. And I like that with the kids having the opportunity to earn some money However, at the same time, I said, look, are they going to get caught up into the money and the services and the products that they are, that they're given, or are they going to be, who's going to help them understand what this is all about?
Right.
DJ, you and Thrift had the opportunity to call the Heritage Bowl, which is considered one of the biggest rivalries in Columbus. Another rivalry in Columbus is happening this Friday, the battle for the Brucelli Jug. Brookstone taking on St. Anne Pacelli at Viking Live, Diamond Field. Dave Plata will be on the call.
Yeah, with
And
DJ Jones.
with you as well. That is awesome. And I know I've heard Thrift Behringer on the call with Dave Plata, and they do such a great job. Jeremy Hayes, really, they do a great production with Viking Live. This is a big rivalry. Brookstone has not beaten Pacelli in a while. Pacelli has owned the Brucelli Jug. But what is it going to take for Brookstone to go into Diamond Field and get the win over a hot Pacelli team that's won 5 straight?
Well, this game obviously has a lot of tradition and a lot of culture in this community, and regardless of the records, regardless of the talent levels, these guys reach deep down and find a way to get it done. And I know that that's going to be the same with Brookstone going over to Diamond Field to play Pacelli. But, you got to expect anything. When rivals, whether it's Auburn, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, whether it's Carver Spencer or Pacelli, Brookstone, Glenwood, Pacelli, those, you got to throw all of the records out the window.
Yeah, you do, DJ, and we'll talk about Auburn, Georgia. You were on the field for that, and you've played in that game many times. But before that, let's talk about the Carver Tigers. When we were doing our preseason predictions, Carver was one of the teams, along with Central and Glenwood and Pacelli, of winning a state championship this year. They've gone on a bit of a losing streak, and a lot of those games they could have won. You know Coach Coffey very well. Carver Tigers got a big win last week against Columbus. They go on the road against Thomasville, pretty good team in their own right. That's a region game. Do you think your Carver Tigers are going to get back on the right track and still have a chance to maybe win a region championship?
Absolutely. Again, early on here in the season, they were, a little disappointment. Had a couple of losses, but, there's still time. And, again, the good thing about it is region play is approaching, and as long as they can continue to win these region games, they'll be back in the playoffs.
DJ, you were at the Plains for Georgia-Auburn, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. I actually watched the game from my couch, and I thought that this could be the game where Auburn could give Georgia a run for their money. This is Carson Beck in a hostile environment. You know how loud it gets there. And Auburn took a 10-0 lead. They took a 17-10 lead. And Georgia utilized Brock Bowers, and they were able to pull it off. You were down on the field, DJ. Did you at any time think that the vibe on the Auburn fan base that they could possibly pull off this upset?
Absolutely. Again, it's just something about being at Jordan-Hare Stadium. You guys, I didn't drink the Kool-Aid, when everybody, we're number one back-to-back and hoping for a three-peat. But, this is the SEC, and the tradition of Jordan-Hare Stadium and the Auburn Tigers, regardless of, again, the records, rivalries like this, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, is just something special. And you have to be a part of it as a player, because fans don't really get the intensity. They don't understand the impact and how some guys go deep down to, again, they swing for the fence at, especially number one teams in the country.
There we go. And Georgia did a really good job being able to capitalize on some of the Auburn mistakes. Big win for Georgia going in Jordan-Hare Stadium. It was loud. Hugh Freeze, they had a lot of recruits there, DJ. You've been there a lot. It was a recruiting frenzy. And then having Cam Newton, Charles Barkley, Frank Thomas, he knew what he was doing. It was a good foundation layer for Hugh Freeze, even though they didn't win. Now I want to talk about our Atlanta Falcons, because I claim them too. And they go across the pond, and we had I.J. Rosenberg, who's a guy that covers the Atlanta Falcons. The Orlando Ledbetter was there, and we put up a putrid performance. Ritter was god-awful in the first half. People are calling for him to get subbed out or put another quarterback in. I want you to do your speech to all the Atlanta Falcons fans out there. Do we need to sub Ritter? Do we need to give him some more time? And do you think the Falcons still can get back on the right track?
Well, I think the average fan obviously gives up on a young quarterback too quickly anyway. Obviously, you're seeing what's happening around the NFL. But Desmond Ritter is a talented quarterback. Art Smith is a heck of a coach, and he's got some nice weapons around him. But this is early in the season. Give him some more time, and I think that, that'll be the deciding factor because, again, the more reps he gets, the more comfortable he gets, the better off that we'll be.
Well, DJ, do you think that the Falcons need to change up their identity and start running the ball, giving Bijan Robinson 30 carries, and don't put the game on Desmond Ritter's back and utilize that run game with Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, because I do feel that the Falcons defense can keep them in games, and they are very talented. But you see Desmond Ridder throwing 2 picks, including a pick 6, and you get frustrated as a Falcons fan because Desmond Ridder should not be losing you games. You've got to run the football.
You're absolutely right. I don't know if I would give Bijan Robinson 30 carries. I'd probably give him, break him up. But,
He's a bell cow running
But
back.
I give him 15 carries and I throw to him. I give him 15 targets in the passing game. But he's a tremendous talent. I haven't seen, a guy with that kind of speed and quickness. He runs like Barry Sanders or Gale Sayers for you old timers out there. This guy can stop, start, make a miss, break ankles, all of that, and I love it.
We are live on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page and YouTube channel here at Happy Hour Bar and Grill, and we are with Sports Vision's DJ Jones. And DJ, who's the best team in the SEC? I'm going to put you on the spot. Is it the Georgia Bulldogs who are the number 1 team? Is it Alabama? Is it Ole Miss? Is it any of the other teams? Kentucky, who played Georgia this week?
Kentucky's coming in town, and again, you can't drink the Kool-Aid because they have a kid by the name of Ray Davis. You hadn't heard of him, but he had 280 yards rushing in the last appearance.
Wow.
And then guess what? Auburn basically had their way with Georgia on the ground. So we're going to have to get our stuff together because, again, right now I think Kentucky is the best thing or the hottest team in the SEC coming in to play the Dogs at, of course, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium.
Well, DJ, let's bring it back to high school football because you've been in attendance for a lot of these games here in the Chattahoochee Valley. In your opinion, what is the best high school team that you have seen so far?
Well, you just had them on the stage here, one of them anyway. The Glenwood Gators have been tremendous, and I've liked what I've seen with those guys. I kind of cheat a little bit because I usually watch you guys on TV because I've actually physically called the Carver Spencer game early on in the season, and I called also Pacelli and Stratford. But watching you guys, and it's hard to get out, and it's hard to not want to watch you guys on your streaming service,
Right.
Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So, asking me in person versus, I'd rather watch you guys.
Well, I appreciate that, DJ.
Thank you,
We
DJ.
love all the support. And one of the last things we're going to talk about, you see Lamont Burton, you see Dallas Crow, they were up here. They're also going to be at probably the Sports Vision's Awards Luncheon, 16th annual, DJ, coming up this year. We got incredible guests that we've had on like Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, Dabo Sweeney, Gus Malzahn. The list goes on and on. Talk about that awards luncheon for those who don't know, and talk about when it's coming up and how they can get involved if they want to.
Well, Thrift, we've been very fortunate, and we got our 16th annual Sports Visions Football Awards coming up Thursday, December the 7th, 11:30 at St. Luke Ministry Center, and over 100 coaches, players, middle school, high school will be honored. And, I just take great pride in having the opportunity to reward and honor these coaches and players. What we've been able to do over the past 16 years has been phenomenal.
Unreal.
Growing from 155 banquet room up at the Hilton Garden Inn to over 600 seater down at St. Luke, attracting the greatest coaches in America in college football for our young men. But again, I know Dale Williams, my former partner, and I realize how much of an impact having something of this magnitude to honor our local high school players and coaches and middle school players and coaches. And we're just blessed to be able to have some tremendous partners in the community that, entrust us to do what we do.
If you want to be a sponsor, you contact me at 706-325-6040 or DJ Jones.
706-681-1136.
And I promise you, you're going to want to be a sponsor for something as big as this. DJ, you're awesome. You didn't have to do this. I appreciate you coming on, and looking forward again, me and DJ, 4 to 6 p.m. on 92.1 Smooth R&B on your FM dial. Sports Vision's Facebook page. We're live on there as well. Thank you so much, DJ.
Thank you, Thrift. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give these guys a hand.
Thank you, D.
Thank
That
you,
is
DJ.
DJ Jones, legendary player around this area, Hall of Famer, and also legendary broadcaster, and he has given me so many opportunities to grow, and I'm so glad to be a part of the Sports Visions family and team, and continue to grow the Sports Visions as we do every day. All right, real quick before we get our next guest on, I got to say shout out to our sponsors. All right, when we do these live streams, we need people in the community that want to support us, and if you want to be a supporter of ours and get your graphic on the live stream or whatever it may be, make sure to contact myself or Richard. Alliance Specialty Contractors, Master Wall, Columbus Lions, Zaxby's, Behringer Construction, Farmers Insurance, the Menifee Agency, Terry Johnson Agency, Auto Gallery, Chevy, Buick, GMC, and LaGrange. Mark Foster, thank you. Alex Quinney, Glenwood alum, showing us love. Allstate Agency, thank you so much. Morehouse School of Medicine, when we do our pick'ems, thank you to Morehouse School of Medicine. State Farm, Carol Purdue, thank you for all the love that you give us. Reagan Insurance, Shane Reagan. Happy Hour Bar and Grill, Roger Beck and Pacelli Vikings, thank you so much, Pacelli, for being a supporter of ours. Mawson Sons, and of course, Sports Visions and P&B Broadcasting. If you love radio, and that's where we're part, Sports Vision's a part of the P&B Broadcasting family. You want to be up, listen to Q1073, Kiss at 99.3, and all the myriad station, 98.3 The Beat. That's P&B Broadcasting. Make sure to contact them if you want some sponsorship opportunities. All right, without further ado, I'm going to bring my partners in crime on, okay? As DJ talked about, we're all growing in this field, and we are the young guys. We got Jonathan Hoppy of WTVM. Clap it up for him. We got Rex Castillo of WRBL. And we have Jack Patterson of WRBL too. We got the tandem. We got WTVM News Leader 9 in the building. Thank y'all so much for being on, gentlemen.
Hey, this could get fun here.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Thank you so much, Jack.
Right.
You know, listen, that's what I'm saying. When I saw y'all live, Auburn and Georgia, and for those who don't know, Jack Patterson is now the sports director of WRBL, but it used to be Rex Castillo, and underneath him was Jack Patterson. Wow. And now that you're sitting here now, and you're the news anchor for WRBL. But first things first,
Went to the dark side.
First things first, though, Rex. How's it feel to still have your nose in sports? Because you can't get away. Brianna, she's like, come on, give me one Friday night. You don't have to cover high school football, but you're still doing it.
I would actually say like that was a part of the agreement that I had to help out the sports guys for a little bit. Yeah, you can never really go away the entire time.
Hold on, mic change.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to just have to share the mic. So sorry about this, guys. We cannot figure out this for you.
It's all good. So the biggest thing was, of course, like I had to move on to this next chapter. It was a phenomenal change for all of us and for the family, but there were too many Fridays and too many games where even my home life could understand that like I'm itching to get it back out there and cover some games. Thankfully, being able to help out the boys still on the football side, it's been phenomenal. And you know, it's been really great. It's been honestly really great to still be out there. Some of the coaches still say hello, so that's really, really nice of them to say. And most importantly, from both of us, thank you to my beautiful fiance for letting me come out and hang out with the boys.
Recently engaged,
Yes,
Rex
sir.
Castillo. How about that? Oh,
Appreciate
yeah.
y'all.
Woo. Congratulations on that.
Appreciate you. She finally said yes, thank goodness. So we're good to go. In my mind, I'm excited. In her mind, she said finally. So it's been a really exciting time.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. And I'm going to start with Mr. Jonathan Hoppy. All right, Hop, I'm putting y'all on the spot. We're going to talk NIL, all right? And me and DJ were talking about it just a few minutes ago. This is a big deal in the GHSA. I just want quick thoughts from all three of y'all. Hoppy, you start first. What do you think this is going to do for high school athletics in Georgia?
Well, I would say it's about time, and it's certainly exciting that Georgia now giving players the opportunity to make a little bit of money based on what they're doing, and there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like this has all happened quickly. There was a story about a gift card exchange in Alabama a few weeks ago at Tuscaloosa County. I think that is what spurred all of this, and we're seeing movement in the AHSAA, and now we're seeing the GHSA go wide open. So I'm excited. I think that it's just going to go state to state to state. Jack, I know at Media Days you were talking to Coach Savarese about, Alabama's policy, and he was kind of saying that they hadn't not that they hadn't thought about it, but it had a long way to go.
He flat out said it wasn't going to happen.
I think you got to reconsider that at this point in time now that Georgia has done what they've done, right?
Exactly, and that was Coach Briggs, by the way. I don't want to misappropriate
You're right,
the quote.
yeah.
But that was Alvin Briggs, who's the executive director of the AHSAA. But I think the term that you should use with this is inevitable. That when you see so many states across the country do it, that it was only a matter of time before it came down our way. Right. And I think the GHSA, when I talked to Jeff Bowles about it earlier this year when it was first even introduced in the executive committee, it was one of those things where they're trying to get out in front of it.
Right.
And I think that's the approach you have to take. And keep in mind, Georgia's like the 30th state to approve it.
Right.
So, why they say that, you're getting out in front of it, in reality, they're trying to, catch up. And I agree with you that, I think Alabama's going to be in the position where you're going to be playing catch up at this point, especially if you have states. I don't think Mississippi's going to do it anytime soon, but when you have states like Florida and Georgia and Tennessee around you, I think that would impact some of those border schools, and I think that hits closer to home here too. So I think it's a game changer. And I think it's going to change the way that how we look at high school athletics in some ways.
I agree with the board here that a lot of these young men and women put in so much hard work, and the ability for them to help provide for their families. A lot of them use athletics to help elevate themselves as well. I think at the same time with Georgia doing it, as Jack mentioned, they are the 30th state to do it. Yeah, sure, some regulations are going to be in place. There are going to be some growing pains. But who are we to say that, if you put in the work, you put in the time, and you go along the right way, eventually these young men and women are going to be part of the workforce. If you learn these lessons now, they become better citizens.
Exactly.
And at this point, I don't see a big problem with it.
Right.
Of course, regulations and growing pains are going to happen, but if you can help ultimately to provide for your home, provide what you can do with the abilities that God gave you, it's not really my place to say yes or no.
Exactly.
So good luck to everybody. I know NIL is going to be a little bit of a head scratcher, a little bit of a growing pain situation, but ultimately I think it does good by the young men and women.
I think so too. There has to be regulations. You don't want the snakes in the grass. They're going to be popping their heads up, taking advantage of these young men and women that are out there for their services, but hopefully they'll get the right advice and the right people in their corner. Richard, I know you're going to ask the tough question.
Oh,
we
yeah.
got to put them on the spot. We got to.
There we go. Come on now.
All right, this question is for all three of you. I'm going to start with you, Hoppy. Name your top 3 teams in the Chattahoochee Valley that so far that you've seen.
Glenwood is in the house, by the way, Hoppy.
Is Glenwood still here?
Yes, there are some Glenwood people. They see you.
Plenty
All
Gator
right.
Orange in the back.
So, can we say top 5?
See, I was hoping for a Mount Rushmore situation too, like a top 5, because there's so many good teams.
You're defeating the purpose of putting you
No,
on the
I know,
spot.
but
You guys
I will
are killing
give you,
me.
I will give you a hard 5. If
All
you
right,
can do
hey, look,
5.
we can get a starting 5. I'm with that.
Okay.
5.
So I will say, and I'm going to kind of make up my own rules here. I'm going to say the best 5 teams, the best 5 stories, like things that we're talking about and
like
keeping an eye on.
I like it.
Because obviously it's hard to compare a private school team to a 7-8, all that kind of thing.
Right.
I think you start with Central. They have been flat out dominant since I've been here the past 3 seasons. There's really never been,
We got a Central fan in the house, but you just made
Yeah.
someone happy, Hop.
it is. They are definitively the best team in 7A in this region, I think, this year. We haven't been able to say that for sure at this point in years past. Of course, you can't say it for sure, but you've got to put them in there. Sly County has dominated. Top-ranked team in their division over in Georgia. I think you got to put in Harris County after what they did against Sandy Creek. So you look at those 3 teams. Glenwood is a team that has certainly been a powerhouse this year in the AISA, and I expect them to go far and hopefully win a state championship and get a little bit of payback on Lee Scott, although the Warriors have had a great season as well. So you got those 4 teams. If I had to put in another one, there's a lot of teams you could put in, but I'm going to say Valley. I mean,
How about that?
the Valley Rams are looking really good right now, so I'll go Central, Valley, Glenwood, Sly County, Harris County. That's my 5.
I love it.
All right,
JP.
so for my top 5, I've got to go with Hoppy Central, Horns Up. I know there's a
And this is in no order right now.
No,
We're just
no
saying
particular
5
order.
teams.
No particular order, okay? But we're definitely going with Central. They have been phenomenal all season long. They have taken care of business by every stretch of the imagination. Big one coming up in a couple weeks against Auburn.
Yep.
And that's going to be the test of where they really are and where we're really talking about can they be a threat to Thompson later this year. So big one coming up on the Red Devils, but Central has been fantastic so far this year. I'm going to also put Glenwood on that list. Glenwood has been fantastic. They have avenged losses against Pacelli, Brookstone, and Lee Scott. I feel like at this point it's their title to lose. And I know they're in the back to hear me that, but seriously, I really do think it's their title to lose. So for the number 3 team, Slide County. You know, we saw what Slide County did to Macon County. It was number 1 versus number 2. It was a highly anticipated game, and then Slide County just went out there and smacked Macon County all around the field. So Slide County, once again, I think they're in a situation. They got a big one coming up with another team that's going to be on my list, but I think they're in a position where they have a date in Atlanta waiting on them if they control their own destiny. Number 4 is going to be the other team that they're going to face, Manchester. They're a team that nobody's talked about. Remember, week 1 of the season, they knocked off the defending state champions, okay? They just beat Macon County last week. I think that Slide County-Manchester game in a couple weeks is going to be an absolute collision. And honestly, I think both teams have great chances to make it to Atlanta. So Manchester gets up there for me in that slot. And then for that 5th slot, man, I'm with you, Hoppy. I'm torn between so many different teams, but I think I'm gonna put Pacelli in that slot.
Okay.
Because I think outside of their loss to Glenwood earlier this year, they've been dominant as well.
Yep.
So I think that they got a big one this week to battle for the Brucelli jug against Brookstone, but I feel like that they've kind of gotten back on the straight and narrow ever since that loss in week 1. I think as long as they keep doing what they're doing, they've got a Dayton Mercer waiting on them as well.
All right. Rex, what
Guys,
do you
get
got?
out of my head. Nah, I'm kidding. Look, there's been so much good football being played recently. When you talk about high school football, especially in this area, Central has to be the headliner. Not only are they winning, they're dominating at this point. Everything seems to be a statement win, and it's just a prove-it point. And at this point in 7A, you're chasing Thompson. And Thompson has been, 4 state championships in a row. And every week, Central or Auburn or Opelika want to make a statement like, look, you're not going to run over us in Tuscaloosa this year is the big one. Look, Harris County has always been one of those teams that we know good football can be played up there. They proved it against Sandy Creek, a defending state champion. Right. So if you're not paying attention to the Tigers in Hamilton right now, you should be.
You better wake up.
A lot of people have also said, Hoppy and Jack have mentioned Sly County. Look, I know it's 1A football. A lot of people may say what they want to say, but this team has dudes left and right. SEC guys are on this roster, and they're playing incredible.
Yep.
We mentioned Glenwood. The school's just down the road. That field, though, is the home of phenomenal football.
Yep.
They're playing fast, furious. They're not thinking as much anymore because, again, when you have a new head coach, you have time to put it in there, and they have time to think. But Glenwood is playing lights-out football. I wish we could have a little bit more. I'm with Hoppy. Maybe we extend it to a top 10, but no, we'll keep it at 5. And I have to go with Manchester as well. Look, we saw with Manchester that Justice Terry is kind of the story there. The
Right.
Georgia commit out of there. But this team, they don't have positions. When we talk to them, it's like, so who's your quarterback? We don't have one. Well, who's your wideout? Everyone can play everywhere. They played 2 or 3 different guys when I watched them play against Bowdoin to keep you guessing. But everyone loves to play. Everyone plays for each other. Look, when Sly County and Manchester collide, I don't care where you are. Try and find a way to find that final score, or watch the highlights somewhere. But we really but that kind of high quality high school football, no matter classification, is fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So, look, we're in a place in an area in America where high school football matters, and all 3 of us are just really lucky to be a part of it.
Yep, and that is exactly right. And me and Richard have had the pleasure of calling 20 games this year, gentlemen, and we still got 20 more. We love doing play-by-play, giving these kids the proper
Y'all do a
exposure.
phenomenal job as
But
well.
y'all have been doing it a lot longer than we have with this, giving exposure to the athletes around here with the Highlight Factory, the Sports Overtime, and WTVM. So thank y'all so much. I'll let y'all have a shameless plug in just a moment. Trust me, you'll have a chance, Hoppy, to get back at that. But I do want to not preview some of the games this upcoming week. I want to go into college football because all 3 of y'all were there, along with DJ Jones, at the Georgia-Alabama game. And that is a rivalry of all rivalries, the Deep South's oldest rivalry. So talk about your experience there and talk about both teams. One, with Georgia, with their slow starts, eventually catch up to them. And with Auburn, is Hugh Freeze laying the foundation for them to be successful in the future? All 3.
So
Jack?
first questions I gotta ask, and I haven't had a chance to talk to any of y'all about this, but did y'all not have a feeling that if Auburn pulled that game off, they were gonna storm the field at Jordan Hare on Saturday?
100%.
Oh, it was going to be chaos. Talk about Toomer's Corner. My goodness.
Like, it was going to be an absolute madhouse.
You may still be pulling off Auburn students off the field at this point if Auburn.
Oh, they're still there.
Exactly.
They're camping on the 50-yard line.
Exactly. They're just schools canceled.
Do you
this-
blame them?
But no,
because
because
there have been so many storm fieldings where I'm like, really? Why?
if you're Auburn and you beat Georgia at Jordan-Hare Stadium in the way which I honestly thought they could have, you storm the field and you live
To
there.
snap that winning streak?
To snap
Absolutely.
that winning streak with that program.
Let me say something too. The main people we're calling out is Dabo Sweeney and Clemson. Because when they are a top 10 team and storming the field, this was early on in their dynasty, it was just mind-blowing to me. If you're the number 3 team and you beat the number 9 team, how are you storming the field? That doesn't make any sense to me. So sorry about that, Rick.
No. There are politeness to all of this. So, come on, be better. And look, Clemson has their own situations to get out of. But we'll let the Georgia fans start it off. Jack, your thoughts?
But I will say this. Think about where we are right now with Auburn and Hugh Freeze compared to where we were a year ago at this time with Brian Harsin.
No one wants to think about that time.
No, I'm just saying, it is a night and day
Unfortunately,
difference.
I think that says more about the past regime than the current regime.
Well, that's a good point.
It was so bad. And you're right. Now at least there's a little bit of hope for
Exactly.
Auburn. And that's what that game did because they looked really bad against Texas A&M. And there are still a lot of issues, though, on offense.
Absolutely.
But to be right there and to actually feel it, you could tell that was a lot better than it has been.
Exactly. It's all about getting the hope back into this program. It started last year with Cadillac, and then now with Hugh Freeze and what they've done and the roster overhaul they've done with this team. And, yeah, they've had some duds this year. I mean, you look back at the cap, all they want and then some, okay? And you nearly come out with the win. Like, honestly, you know, I know there's no such thing as, you know, a good loss, okay? But I really think as far as this program is going, that is saying that, you know, and Freeze talked about it in the postgame, like, because they had so many recruits at that game. This is like, hey, listen, you saw how this game
Come
went
help
today.
us.
Come be a part of this. You know, come help us do, you know, be a part of this and bring this program back to where they feel that it's supposed to be.
Wasn't going to happen. He's now flipping guys. He's flipping guys that were going to go to Georgia, to Auburn. He's flipping guys who are thinking about going to other powerhouses to Auburn. So 4 or 5 stars. You look, I get recruiting rankings don't really mean that much, but if you look at what's coming down the pipeline, and for a guy who made Liberty a legitimate program, you give him SEC
No doubt.
resources, he's going to change this around. And as Jack mentioned, you took the back-to-back champs to the wire. I honestly thought this whole slow start thing with Georgia was going to bite him in the behind at Jordan-Hare
Yep.
Stadium. But that was a very winnable game for Auburn. When was the last time we talked about that under the Harsin era? It wasn't.
Against a ranked
Never.
team.
Against a ranked team. It
And-
wasn't going to happen. So, Auburn, I know you don't want to hear it, but you got to be
Right.
patient for 1 or 2 more seasons.
And to level the playing fields here quickly on Georgia, a lot of people are starting to have some concern. Is this really the top team in the country? Are they as dominant as they have been? Should they be the favorite? Here's how I feel about it, and I think this is how a lot of people feel. They're still the best team in the country, and they should be number 1. They are number 1. But what I will say is I'm looking for Georgia this week against Kentucky to dominate the game.
Make a statement.
They need to make a statement because when you think about what they've done in the years past, they have come out against Tennessee, Arkansas, at home, and just destroyed them.
Kentucky a couple years ago.
And we have not seen that this year. That's what I think I want to see, and I know the Dog fans want to see. 7 o'clock game, lights down, Sanford Stadium.
Yeah, it's a night game in
Annihilate
Athens.
Kentucky. I mean, it's
a
pretty,
night game.
pretty simple.
Like, it's
Undefeated Kentucky.
Undefeated.
This is
I know,
what we like to
that's
call
what we're used to, though.
This is what we like to call a get right game, okay? Like, you, and to go off what Hoppy said, you need to have a statement going into this week. You don't, no slow starts because we saw what Kentucky did to Florida last week. So if you have a slow start, there may not be any coming back from it. So once again, Georgia has to come out and come out fast. None of this dinking and diming stuff. You've got to come out and come out fast.
Look, Kentucky, I mean, we saw what kind of team, what rushing attack Kentucky has, right? Florida had 13 guys on the field on a goal line stand, and Kentucky still scored.
Right. Yep.
They do not care about you, your feelings, or what your mom's going to say in the stands. So this is a game, though, for Kentucky. We're talking about an undefeated Kentucky team in football, and that's not rare anymore.
Right.
So look, if Georgia drops this game, I would not feel bad about saying Kentucky being the favorite in the East to go win in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But you guys are right. Georgia needs to step all the way up Carson needs to have all the way up, have a fast start, because the stuff where you score 10 points in the first half with a guy like Brock Bowers, look, get it to 19. No one will blame you if you get it to 19. The problem is you have to try and stop 19.
And you still have Ra Thomas, Dominic Lovett, Lad McConkey, who made his first
Brad
appearance.
McConkey needs to be effective.
Well, he's been hurt, so I'm not gonna go all the way in on him. But utilize your wideouts, man. You got great wideouts. You brought them in from the portal for the reason. Utilize them, okay? And that's a shot at Mike Bobo. Utilize them.
Let me tell you this right now. I was about to say, would Mike Bobo have been allowed to leave if he had only stuck with 10 points or 17 points against Auburn? I don't even think he would have been allowed on the bus because there would have been so many fans out there. Rick Beach of Kutsu Sports, he's going to be coming on in a minute. He said he would have tackled Mike Bobo himself if Mike Bobo wasn't going to turn it around. Yeah, but real quickly before Richard asks his next question. One, Peyton Thorne showed that he can make plays with his legs, and they're obviously seeing that running the football and having different avenues and being kind of like what Auburn was in 2013 with the zone read with Nick Marshall. They threw when they had to, not when they needed to all the single time. So I like this Auburn team to get better. If they can win 7 or 8 games, that's an improvement from last year. And like Hoppy said, this roster is atrocious. All right, it's going to take time. This is not a roster that's going to win championships right now. But a Saturday that has all those recruits there, Charles Barkley, Cam Newton, Frank Thomas, that is just putting on a show.
Suni Lee was there too.
Suni Lee as well. It's going in the right direction, and I'm with you. George is going to make a statement this weekend. But there's another team that Richard's about to ask about.
Yeah.
They need to make a statement too, Richard.
Well, let's talk about the Alabama Crimson Tide. I mean, they're back on track, getting a win in Starkville against Mississippi State, but they take on Texas A&M in College Station. The last time they were there, they lost. Texas A&M played them close last year. Does Alabama need to make a statement by going into College Station with that 12th man and that hostile environment and the pass rush of Texas A&M and Max Johnson? Texas A&M looks like a team that could go toe-to-toe with Alabama, but what does Alabama need to do to make a statement win in that game?
Well, I'm going to let Rex go first, but I'm going to ask that you be professional, sir.
Good point. Weird things can happen at Kyle Field. Very weird things happen at Kyle Field. And look, A&M's one of these teams that has nothing to lose. What Alabama would love to happen is for Nick Saban to start yelling and be mean again, which I think has to be the situation.
That's what Miss Terry told him to do, Rex. Come on now.
So absolutely, Miss Terry piss off Nick Saban again if you're an Alabama Crimson Tide fan. But I think what this team goes from Tua, Jalen, Mac to what Jalen Milroe's doing now. So they're not coming back through the doors anymore. But I think you bring up a great point. A&M has everything to win here, and Kyle Field is going to be gassed up for the Crimson Tide. But the Crimson Tide aren't our top 10 ranked team, which we were talking about it around the station. Is still very weird to say that they're not a top 5 team. This is a very losable game easily because I think Jalen Milroe, when he faces enough pressure, he's still crumbling. He's not the guy who will throw a dagger at your heart on 3rd and long. He's a guy who's going to look to run first. If you can, now the problem is trying to contain 4, but it's doable. So I think if A&M gets up on this game, they either win it close, but don't let A&M trounce you. Someone's getting fired on the flight back to Tuscaloosa if that happens.
And I agree, Rex. And I really think that, we talk about Georgia needing to come out with a statement. Alabama needs to come out with a statement, too. They need to come out firing. We've seen them in the highly, the big games. We go back to the Texas game. We go back to the Ole Miss game. Alabama has slow starts. And it bit them in the Texas game. And, they ended up coming out on top against Ole Miss. But you can't have those slow starts when you're going up against top-notch competition. And USF, too. That's a problem. That's a major problem.
I think there's a lot of problems. I mean, they look different.
Yeah, I mean, this is not your traditional Nick Saban-led team. I mean, it's just not. Tommy Rees hasn't really been impressive as offensive coordinator, and you look at the quarterback room right now, it hasn't been impressive. I mean, Milroe is the best of the bunch, but we saw how the other two played against South Florida. They were awful.
I mean, that South Florida game is pretty much all you need to know. That was a game Alabama should have won by 45 at half.
Man, that game gave Alabama fans nightmares of the UL Monroe game from Saban's first year.
Yeah, 2007. By the way, South Florida, 1-11, 1-11 the last 3 seasons, and that's who Alabama had to score. And by the way, it was basically 10-3. Do we count that last second touchdown, Hoppy? But talk about
That was
Alabama
a-
against A&M.
That was a strange game with the weather delay and every quarterback playing that wasn't Jalen Milroe, and then next thing you know, he's the starter the following week. So, okay, credit to Nick Saban and staff because they've turned it around. They've got the wins that they've needed. But I have some serious concerns about this game in particular. I don't think they win this weekend.
Ooh.
I have
Uh-oh.
seen, yeah.
You know you're in Alabama right now, Hoppy.
That's not a stretch.
No, I mean, I have some doubts about what this team is, and I think it's reasonable to have those doubts based on what we've seen. And so looking at this game, it is going to be a tough game for Alabama. But this is, so the question almost of what do they have to do to make a statement? To me, all they have to do is go on the road, put up a strong showing, and win the game. You don't even have to blow them out. You don't have to do anything. Just win the game. And certainly, Rex, if they were to get trounced,
Oh gosh,
can you, I mean,
I do. There would be so many curse words.
and
flying
it's
around.
do or die. I mean, a two-loss team is not going to make the playoff.
Oh no, absolutely
So
not. Even if they
every
are Alabama,
game is do or die.
and I think at this point, an Alabama 2-loss team under like Tua, maybe.
Right.
Under Mac, maybe. Under Jalen, maybe. This team is I'm questioning if they're a New Year's 6 team at this point.
That is a fair point.
I mean, look, A&M winning is not a far stretch thing anymore. This whole thing about Nick Saban being undefeated against assistants, long gone. Jimbo started it. But A&M has more weapons, more proven weapons. And I don't know what's going on in Tuscaloosa. Give the ball to Jace McClellan. If they're a running team, just be a running team. Because isn't Jermaine Burton still down there?
Yes, he is.
And he's been a proven weapon at Georgia. He was like the 3rd guy in Georgia.
Right.
Yep.
And so I don't know the defense is not the same defense when Will Anderson was running around taking people's head off.
Alabama's just a 2.5-point favorite.
All right, let's think about that. A 2.5-point favorite at A&M.
That's not even ranked.
That's when was the last time Alabama was less than a 10-point favorite against an unranked team? That's all you need to know.
That's a really good point.
It's been a long time. This is an underperforming Alabama team. Just because you're wearing crimson and cream, congratulations, you're not performing up to standard.
Sorry, I'm looking up these spreads. Georgia is a 14.5-point favorite against a top 20 team.
And that was the same spread against Auburn last week.
Right, on the road. So, I mean, you can see here the bettors and the public are having much more faith in Georgia, and there's a lot of concern about Alabama. I mean, that's just what the numbers show.
Turning of the tide. Pun intended on that one. I got to ask this question, though, to Rex, and then we're going to touch on real quickly, guys, because we got Rick Beach coming on next, the Falcons and the Braves. Rex, your Texas Longhorns, baby, have finally, it is no longer a punchline, Joe Tessitore. Texas is back, folks. That is not a meme anymore.
Why are you getting him started?
So, Rex, is this the best Texas team since 2009, and does this team actually have a chance to win a national title?
Thank God we're at a bar. Okay, so regarding 2009, every Texas fan will say this. If Colt McCoy didn't get hurt,
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying, I would have to agree, though. I do think that this is the first time, just because there was burnt orange and white, Texas should be in the national conversation. Yeah, we have a lot of money coming into Austin, but they were underperforming it. I had to be optimistic about David Ash and Chase McCoy, the not Colt McCoy guy. But I think at this point with Quinn Ewers, with the way he's playing and the weapons we have, shout out to Georgia for A.D. Mitchell, really love y'all. But it's one of these teams that's actually looking like we can comfortably say they're in a national title conversation. That we're actually looking like a team that could perform with the college football playoff, with what's going on in Austin. But having said all that, Texas is not back until we've actually won something. That is not a New Year's Six Bowl. We have to get to a point. If you want to be Texas, here's what you do. You want to live up to that standard, win a playoff game, win a national title. 2005 was a long time. I still can watch front to back the 2006 Rose Bowl. I love that game. It's also a long time ago. It's time to grow up. It's time to absolutely own that standard. And don't be afraid of it. Now, having said all that, plenty of potholes to be had. Oklahoma is our first one. Look, this Oklahoma Sooners team has been under the radar. No one scored more than 20 points on them, and they're lighting up the scoreboard. They've scored 50 and 66. We aren't going to win this game just rolling into the Cotton Bowl. Plus, we play we're playing Iowa State on the road. Texas Tech is always weird. Kansas, I could go on and own this entire show with my rants. But I think this is the first time I can comfortably say, with Quinn Ewers, A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Robinson, this is a team that could be a Final Four team.
All right, let's talk about the Atlanta Falcons. Then we'll wrap this segment up talking about the Atlanta Braves. First, the Atlanta Falcons. They're 2-2.
Easy, Jack.
They did not look great against Jacksonville, but is it
Ritter
time?
didn't look great against Jackson.
Okay, here's the thing. Is it time to switch out quarterbacks? Does Desmond Ritter need to be benched?
Paging Taylor Heineke. Paging Taylor Heineke.
Are
yes.
you sure?
I'm positive. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that Heineke is the godsend, but he's better than Ritter. That's the whole reason why you signed Heineke. That's the whole reason why you signed him. Because you don't know what you're going to get in Ritter because he only played 4 games last year. But at a certain point, and I saw this earlier this week and I agree with it. At a certain point, you can't mortgage the season trying to figure out Ritter, okay? You've got a better defense than you've had in recent memory, okay? You've got weapons. You've got Bijan. You've got Kyle Pitts, who it'd be nice. You make a lot of fantasy football owners, myself included, happy if you started using them. Same with Drake London. You know, you've got Tyler Algier in that backfield. You got an offensive line that's not terrible, okay? Everything is there for the Falcons to win a winnable NFC South, but you have to have something at quarterback. And while Ritter showed something in that Green Bay game, in that Carolina game, you need something more. You need consistency. He's looked terrible against Detroit, who's going to be a playoff team. He looked terrible against Jacksonville, who, unless Rex's Houston Texans steal the show,
Let's go,
they're
baby.
going to be a playoff team as well. So, honestly, you've got to do something. I had a little bit of faith in Ritter, like say, let's see what we have in him. But the further we go into the season, it seems more and more that Ritter is not the answer at quarterback for the Falcons.
Well, it's funny how this news cycle goes and how we react to things. After 2 games, Falcons look great. 2-0, winnable division, and then the past 2 weeks have been pretty much atrocious. And that leads us to really questioning if Ritter is the guy. And I don't really think you can say he is. I mean, I think we've seen enough, and I think, unfortunately, Arthur Smith is going to have some tough decisions to make. But I will go on my soapbox for a sec. It's better than being a Panthers fan.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we're asking a
At
Panthers
least
fan.
you have your own draft pick, and at least you have some semblance of an offensive line and a few receivers. And
Woo,
but
Andy Dalton,
I
baby.
would say, out of all we're talking about, I would say the
I
most
would-
surprising thing in the NFC South to me is Baker Mayfield.
Yes.
I am
Absolutely.
shocked that
Absolutely.
the Buccaneers are at the top of the division and that Baker.
Especially with those practice videos of him completely
I am
missing guys.
I am totally stunned, and I'm stunned the Panthers are as bad as they are, and the Falcons have been head scratching and the Saints have been head scratching, but Baker Mayfield, I don't know what to say.
Look, it makes no sense. We thought the Bucs were going to be the laughingstock of the division for some years now because, look, I was on the Baker Mayfield laugh train because he went to Oklahoma, and not his fault he was in Cleveland. But real quick, the fact that Kyle Pitts and Drake London don't have 10 receptions a game, and you're just not looking at 8. I think someone had mentioned it on Twitter, like, all Kyle Pitts has been doing this whole month is doing cardio. That is ridiculous.
Doesn't
That is
make
your
it-
first-round pick.
Why did you waste a first-round pick
I don't know
on
if
him
he
in
hit-
London?
Like, I would love to know, does he even have 10 receptions this season?
That's a great. Why are we asking that of Kyle Pitts, the guy who was an absolute highlight film in Gainesville? And then Drake London is not a small human being. Throw him the ball. And I get that Bijan is a phenomenal athlete, but I also think he's doing well because there's just no NFL tape on him, so people are just reacting. That's going to change soon. And I think
I mean, just look what Detroit did with him. They
Exactly.
held him like 38 yards.
it doesn't make any sense when you have those 2 monsters. Patterson, is he coming back?
Yeah, he's back.
He's back. So you have all these guys. They made this whole thing about positionless football, that you have no idea who's going to get the ball and who's going to score. Well, we now know that nobody's making a massive splash, and that's
Well,
ridiculous.
we know that the Falcons aren't going to throw the ball well, so you can key in on the run.
Which is dumb.
And-
throw to Pitts, throw to London, throw to all those guys.
And you know what fires me up more and grinds my gears more than anything is a coach with an ego like Arthur Smith that sometimes just won't bite the bullet and say, you know what, maybe I make a mistake. Maybe Ritter is not the option. And then head-scratching play calls. I know we want to say Ritter's not been great, but the play calls have been even more atrocious too. He's not putting them in position to succeed. So we can go on this all day. Falcons playing a big one this upcoming weekend. By the way, quick shout out Houston Texans. They're the biggest surprise
Let's
along
go.
with Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud,
CJ Stroud is the truth.
and
We're about
poor
to lose.
Bryce Young.
We're about to lose to the Texans.
You're shaking your head because the man can't
you
stay
see-
upright.
If you see me on Sunday after the Falcons lose to the Texans, just give me a hug.
I know you can give me a hug too because I'll buy you around because, oh my God, the Texans have a quarterback.
I think we're all 5 of us are going to be hanging out on Sunday, definitely watching that game. All right, last question for y'all gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for your time. It's talking about the Atlanta Braves. We talk about the Falcons who are struggling. The Hawks had their media day. They've been struggling the last few years. A team that hasn't struggled is the Braves, who won a World Series 2 years ago. Hoppy, I'm going to start with you. Is it championship or bust for the Major League Baseball's best team?
Absolutely. Championship or bust for baseball's best team. And I tell you, as we get to October, it's so great to see playoff baseball on TV.
Amen.
It's starting to feel a little bit cooler. We're going to have a not cold, but relatively fall-like weekend.
Don't say it too loud. You'll scare it away.
It's going to be 71 degrees on Sunday.
Right. It's so exciting. All that being said, you can also feel the nerves coming out of Braves fans. You can just feel it because last year was very disappointing to be eliminated in the NLDS. And this is a franchise that has a history of not performing so well in these spots. And, you know, like Jack, I've been a Braves fan, Thrift. A lot of people in here have been Braves fans their whole lives, longer than us. But you know the history, and they need to come out based on how great they are. To me, they've got to make the World Series. It's really World Series or bust in terms of expectations, and then you get there and let's duel it out. Certainly a loss in the NLDS would be majorly disappointing, and you've got to expect now in this version of the Braves to be better than the Dodgers. You are the better team now. You're not little brother anymore. They have to win that championship series. They've got to make it to the World Series. To me, it's just that simple and nerve-wracking, especially, Jack, when you see the rotation and some of the injuries. I know guys are going to be there, but you start to tighten up just a little bit.
No, I'm right there with you, man. You know, and you alluded to it. We've been down this road a long time, Braves fans. You know, we think about, you know, all the division titles we win in the 90s and one World Series championship. You think about all the great teams we had in the 2000s. No World Series championships. No World Series appearances. So we talk about that all the time, and then you come back to the present day, and, you know, 2021 was great. Last year was a major disappointment. And I agree with you, Hoppy. I feel like it's at least World Series or bust. You have to win the NL pennant. You have to do it. With the team you have right here, you know, I saw a graphic earlier this week that the Braves led in half of the major stat categories in the National League this year.
That's wild.
That's ridiculous. You're talking about Acuna, the first ever 40-70 year. You're talking about Matt Olson leading the league in homers and RBIs. Strider with the most wins and the most strikeouts. You know, you're talking about all these accolades that the Braves have had. Most home runs, or tying the record for most home runs in a single season by a team. You know, 307 home runs. So we talk about all of these things, but it's great to have them in the regular season. But you have to show it in the postseason. This is where it counts. And, you know, one thing, Fox had this as a slogan a long time ago, but it's the truth. You can't script October, okay? And, you know, we've already seen it today with the Rangers going to Tampa Bay, and, you know, the Rays looked terrible, and the Rangers came out with the Game 1 win. The Twins have already won. So, you know, we've already seen it kind of happening. You've got to come out. And, you know, we see what the Braves are doing. They're doing simulated games with each other up there this week to try to stay fresh. I like the approach from Snicker. I think you're doing something, whereas to just sit around and do nothing, you know, just practice and then you just see what happens. He remembers what happened last year, and they're trying to make an effort to not let it happen again. You're going to get either the Marlins or the Phillies. You know you're going to get a tough series out of either one of them, whether it be the Marlins or the Phillies. So you've got to be able to come out on Saturday for Game 1 of NLDS, and you've got to be ready to go guns a-blazing.
It feels like what the Patriots. Remember when the Patriots went completely undefeated, and then they and then the Giants happened, and David Tyree. And
Yeah, I was about to say David Tyree happened.
So this almost feels like that. We're going to either go from an Atlanta Braves team that can be crowned one of the best teams in Major League Baseball history with all the records they've set, to the answer to a whole bunch of trivia questions being Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, Spencer Strider, and all these boys. Like, this is it. I've already, if you were to do brackets, I know that's only a March thing, I've already written in the Braves to the World Series because of how
Along with your Astros, I saw that bracket in the sports office.
there's an addition to the championship, but I'm from Houston, that's all I gotta say. But it's one of these things where this team has done so much. It will mean nothing without a World Series championship. And I firmly believe that these guys, that Patriots team, there was a book written about the undefeated season, the greatest team ever. This team has all the talent in the world to sweep every series and sweep a World Series. Will that happen? I don't know, because Miami and Philly would love to do nothing but ruin that season for y'all in the postseason. But I think this is a team that can absolutely do it. It is championship or bust. They've made it clear from the top. If you go 1 through 9 of that batting lineup, Jack and I looked over it. What do you do with it besides pray? I mean, that's all you can do. This team is so good on so many levels. To get to a point of the NLCS and lose would be nothing but a disappointment.
I completely agree, and I'm going back to those early Braves teams, 2002, 2003, winning 100 games, losing to Barry Bonds Giants, losing to the Cubs.
Yeah.
So it happens a lot, being the best team in baseball with an elite lineup and choking the NLDS. So we're hoping that doesn't happen. But, guys, y'all are awesome. It's not going to be the only time you come on Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show.
You're amazing, guys.
Let me talk to Jonathan Hoppy first. Shameless plug, Sports Overtime. What's your game of the week? And then, of course, both of y'all gentlemen.
Yeah, thank you, Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Thank you to all for coming out. It's really exciting. I know Jack, Rex, and I talk about only being a 2-station market. We'd love to have more coverage for the student athletes.
Amen to that.
Because we can't do enough. And so to get you guys in the mix, to do stuff like this, to have people come out, is really exciting. But yeah, Sports Overtime this week. We've got Auburn Central as our game of the week. Auburn Opelika. Get ahead of myself. And I've been here for a few years. This is the best week in terms of games at the top. When you're looking at that game, Brookstone Pacelli and Northside Harris County. Those are 3 awesome games. So there's not a ton in volume in the area this week, but the quality is really good, and I know we're super excited about Friday night to see what happens in those games. So thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely, and our prep zone game of the week, we're actually doing a double game of the week because Hoppy talked about the quality of the games. We decided that we're just, and I just wanted to get out the office too. So Tyler Redmond will be at Auburn Opelika. I will be at the Battle for the Brucelli Jug on Friday night. And then, of course, we'll have all the highlights on the prep zone. And Rex, you got athletes of the week too. So, we're rocking and rolling over here. Just tune in. We appreciate you. And same thing that Hoppy said, you can't recognize these student athletes enough for what they do. And, I know the Sports Overtime team, they do a lot, and I know our team does a lot. But to have you guys, what you guys are doing, streaming games, putting another spotlight on these kids is nothing but a positive. You guys are doing a tremendous job, and doing things like this. This is things that people that live here in this area can say. You don't see things. Columbus has never seen things like this. So for you guys to continue to doing what you're doing, absolutely incredible. Keep doing what you're doing.
I'll make it real quick too. Well, you guys are doing it. A lot of people do this kind of stuff to high school sports and athletes for clout. They do it for their own reason, to say that they're a broadcaster, to say that they do what they want to do. You guys are doing it the right way for the community, for these kids. A lot of these young men and women deserve the spotlight, and I think we talked about it in our sports office. I'm sure Hoppy's talked about it. We wish we had at least 10 more people to help us out, cover these games the way they deserve. You guys are doing an incredible job.
Thank you so much. These are my partners in crime. These guys, we're growing up together in this field. Thank you, Rex. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Jonathan Hoppy. Thank you all so much. Let's clap it up for WRBL's Jack Patterson, Rex Castillo, and WTVM's Jonathan Hoppy. Thank y'all so much. All right. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Rex. I'll talk to y'all in just a moment. All right, without further ado, it's time to move on to our last guest on Georgia Alabama Sports Live Show, Mr. Rick Beach of Kudzu Sports. Thank you, DJ. Thank you, Aunt Candy, for coming out. All right. Yeah, you can sit right here. All right, first things first, Kutsu Sports. If you're wondering who the sleeping giant of the Tri-City area is, it's Harris County. And my man Rick Beach has been covering Harris County better than anyone around this area. He also covers Auburn games and Georgia games, Kutsu Sports. Follow them on Facebook and YouTube. Rick, let's talk about your Tigers. We called the game last week against Sandy Creek. Me and you will be on the call this week for Harris County Northside. Before we talk about that game, I want to talk about the Tigers in general. They started off slow against Troup County, but they've gone on a 5-game winning streak. This team that went 2-8 last year. Talk about Coach Watson and the Tigers and why they've improved so well this season.
They discovered their identity. You got to think, you look, we talked about it Friday. Coach Watson coming in, offensive lineman, played at Mississippi State. Brought in from North Georgia, offensive coordinator Bronson Sweat.
Right.
Offensive lineman, he was recruited to the University of Georgia.
Right.
They have that dog in them. They have that fight. They want to be physical. You know, the practices got a little more physical last year. And when you win 2 games, you see why we're doing all this. Why is the team going so hard at practice? Why are they going so hard before games? They're hitting. Well, now you're starting to see what that led to. Now the offensive line, they look for attention. They want to hit people. The defense is physical. That defensive line at Harris County is phenomenal. Coach Holbrook, he coached the same guys last year. The only difference, they brought in Bishop Adams, who was at running back, and he was kind of banged up a little bit last year. I think he's probably one of the best defensive players in the Bi-City when you look at and he's a junior. And that's just Bishop Adams. You still got T.J. Johnson, Josh Jones, he's a junior as well. Then you got Holden Hyatt. That defensive line is probably one of the top ones in the Bi-City area. And you're talking about some of the schools that's been established for a while. So Harris County is a physical team. They know what they are. They're a team you don't want to run into in a dark alley.
Right.
And that's what they've become.
Rick, let's talk about that home opener against Russell County. The way Harris County won that in a walk-off fashion. You and I called that game.
Right.
It was just an exciting atmosphere. They stormed the field. Did you get the feeling after that game that Harris County was going to have a special season so far?
I think last year, what happened during the Russell County, they found a way to win.
Right.
Where last year things didn't go that way. They lost late to Russell County. They lost late to Hardaway. They lost late to McIntosh. They didn't know how to win games. And against Russell County, they said, hey, we can do this. We can beat a good team. We can beat a team from outside there. We can't beat a team other than, I hate to say it, but like Drew, who they beat last year. And that kind of the confidence. A confident team is a dangerous team. And once Russell County couldn't put them away, that confidence led up until, Logan Shelnut kicked the walk-off field goal. And then the next week it led into Shaw. Then it went into Howard.
Right.
And now you've won 5 games in a row, including a win over Sandy Creek. And they're, defending state champs. I know it ain't the same guys that won state.
Right, but still.
But you beat a winning program.
Right.
That's a program building win for Harris County. You say the sleeping giant. And I still don't think the Giant's awake yet.
Yep.
But I think he's getting out of bed. And that's where Harris County is.
Oh, we're excited to be on the call for Harris County versus Northside. Northside 4-2, defending region champions last year, 9-1, making the second round of the playoffs. Myself, Thrift Behringer, Rick Beach will be on the call. We also got Creekside versus Calvary. Both these games will be on Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page and YouTube channel. Please tune in. Please subscribe to YouTube. Like us on Facebook. We're excited about this one. Northside and Harris County. It's a rivalry. It's probably going to decide who's going to win the region championship. McIntosh is pretty good, so is Northgate, but we like these 2 teams a lot. Give me your preview on how Harris County can upset Northside, who's been the premier team in this area for 5A.
Physicality. It's going to be, you've seen when y'all did the Westover game, Kingston Rivers at Northside, you've seen that running game?
Woo! Oh, yeah.
How physical they can get. Well, Harris County's going to have to get physical with them. They're going to have to out-physical the team that won the region last year. And it's going to be a drag-out. That's the knockout type game.
Right.
Neither team's going to finesse. Northside's going to come into the game and say, okay, we know who we are. And Harris County's the same way. We know this is who we are, and we're not changing. And that's, if Harris County can out-physical them, then they got a chance.
But, Rick, I do feel that the winner of this game is going to be in the driver's seat for the region championship with Northgate and McIntosh on the forefront. Harris County will play McIntosh to wrap up the regular season. These region games are going to be important, but you look at this Harris County team, and you've seen them in every single game. Are they a team that's capable of just coming out and winning a region title?
Absolutely. I don't see, when you could win up front on offense and defensive line, you could beat anybody.
Right.
And these two offensive defensive lines of Harris County, they're right now dominating folks. You look at this offense, had over 200 yards rushing against Sandy Creek. That Lattimore, I didn't get the stats from Sandy Creek after the game. Lattimore didn't run all over Harris County. He had one long run, I think, the whole game.
Right.
So that he didn't dominate like he's been dominating everybody else, getting recruited by Georgia and some of these other teams in the SEC. If you can win up front, you can compete with anybody, and that's what Harris County's had so much success doing this year.
Right.
And to an extent against Troop.
Right.
Troop got 24 points in the second quarter, fueled by turnovers deep inside Harris County territory. So you're looking, they played good that game. I talked to Coach Watson after that game, and we felt that it was a good game, that, the team played hard. The kids left LaGrange that night when we pulled out of Callaway Stadium, like, we're going to be pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Now, did we know it was going to go 5 straight wins? No, but, once they got that Russell County, like we said, okay, the team knew how to win, and now that's what it's bred to.
Well, I'm excited about this game. Harris County Northside on Friday. We also got Calvary versus Creekside. High school game day will be live at homecoming for Calvary. Glenwood is on the road against Monroe. We'll be at Glenwood next week. Smith Station takes on Auburn. We got double headers for the rest of the season. Myself and Rick Beach, 7 o'clock kickoff live from Connect for Northside and Harris County. You'll be at 7:30 for Calvary versus Creekside. Thank y'all so much, everyone here at Happy Hour Bar and Grill. Mention GAS Live to get 10% off your food purchases Monday and Wednesday. Thank you to all our guests, DJ Jones, Coach Ryan Nelson, Lamont Burton, I was about to say Lamont Turner, Lamont Burton II, Dallas Crow, of course, Jonathan Hoppy, Jack Patterson, and Rex Castillo. From everyone at Georgia Alabama Sports Live, including the guy that makes all this happen. I know I'm a hot talking head. This is Hot Take Alert, Mr. Richard Holdridge, but it can't be possible without our producers, Toy Gar and Chris Gates. Come on, guys. There is no way we can do any of this. When we live stream these games, when we go to all these different high schools in the middle of nowhere, he's the one running around like a chicken with his head cut off, making sure everything's smooth and calming myself down. So thank you so much, Toy Gar and Chris. Thank you to all our guests, and we will see you on Friday for Calvary versus Creekside, Northside, Harris County. Have a great night and be safe. And as Jack Patterson says, he says what's up and what's good. So
What's up and what's good? Yeah.
I just butchered that. We're going to make today a great day.
There you go.
Make the rest of the week a great week. Thank y'all so much. Are we not live anymore?